Hello and welcome to the JW Thoughts channel. My name is Wally and today we are going to see an absolutely fascinating video that Watchtower made for the 2022 annual meeting of Jehovah's Witnesses. In this video, we are going to see them locking spiritual gifts behind a paywall, which is shocking considering how 2 weeks ago they made that video saying if you want to be friends with God, it's going to require a swipe of that credit card. I find it absolutely amazing what they say in this video, and when you actually take into account the global situation of the ordinary Jehovah's Witness and how they talk about one of these new projects, it's absolutely astonishing. Anyway, don't forget to drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel. Also, one other thing, the last 2 talks for the convention, I actually did a live stream covering those. So if you want to see those, I'll put a link in the description, but that's over on the JW Streams channel, where me and Altworldly do all of our live streams. Anyway, with all of that being said, let's do this thing.
In this report, we will see clear evidence of Jehovah's support on theocratic projects today, despite a pandemic, supply chain shortages, and other challenges. For example, the February 2020 announcement featured in the JW newsroom informed us that the Cameroon branch relocation project finished shortly before the outbreak of COVID-19. Just in time, the Bethel family had a home where they could safely shelter in place during the pandemic and still care for the kingdom work and more than 48,000 publishers in that branch territory.
Ah, yes, Jehovah blesses the construction work. One of my favorite topics. It's absolutely hilarious to me. So let's get the old evidence counter out and see how many times they'll mention Jehovah blessing their work. Here we have a construction project that finished before a pandemic. I mean, it was started before that. It was scheduled to be finished before that. But wow, true evidence of God's blessing. God knew the pandemic was right around the corner, and he made sure that this branch would be finished so that way when the government had a shelter in place, like, is this guy serious? That's what God was doing in preparation for the pandemic. God was making sure that the Cameroon Bethel new facility was up and running and operational. Like, priorities, my man, priorities. And they make God seem ridiculous whenever they do this. I imagine if I was a Christian, I would be very offended at the type of God that they're portraying, someone that's that interested in a building and not interested in the human life that was lost.
The Argentina Bethel family also moved into their new branch facility in Buenos Aires shortly thereafter. The move, which was organized in compliance with COVID-19 safety protocols, began in July 2021. The Bethel family saw numerous examples of Jehovah leveling out overwhelming challenges during the pandemic. The successful completion of the new branch facilities in the midst of that turmoil has already given a great witness to the community. It has allowed the Bethel family to focus on caring for close to 170,000 publishers in that branch territory.
Oh yes, a Bethel branch was completed before the pandemic. Jehovah's blessing. A Bethel branch was completed during the pandemic. Also Jehovah's blessing. Like, they immediately water down the point that they're trying to make. Don't you think when they're writing these scripts out, they'd be like, hey, Phil, do you really think we should just use 2 diametrically opposed examples and say that they mean the exact same thing? Don't you think that'll look a little goofy? Nah, people are just going to be happy that there's a brand new building that we can sell whenever we run out of cash.
What a blessing to have these new facilities to support the kingdom preaching work. What about projects happening right now? Listen closely as we hear updates from brothers in Italy, Congo, and Angola.
The Italy branch is relocating its facilities to the city of Bologna in northern Italy, which is located about 370 kilometers or 230 miles from Rome. Initially, the construction project committee wanted to use our brothers and sisters as volunteers. However, at a certain point, it was decided to rely on an outside development company, both for the design and renovation of the office building that was purchased, as well as for the design and construction of the residential buildings. When this decision was made, we did not imagine that a few months afterwards we would not be able to use our volunteers. Because at the beginning of 2020, COVID-19 struck northern Italy, including the city of Bologna. As a consequence, the government suspended activities, including construction. After about 1 month, they lifted the restrictions. And as a result, we could get back in touch with the companies and continue the work, while respecting government protocol and direction from our organization. Thanks to Jehovah's direction, despite the pandemic, we are happy to see how this project is moving forward much faster than we expected. And we look forward to being able to move into these new buildings by the end of 2024.
So this is pretty rare because they're just coming out and admitting, yeah, we thought it would be better if we just used an outside company, outsourced it, when I've always thought that one of the main reasons why they do so much building is that they can do it at a very, very, very low cost and then eventually sell that thing. So I wonder if their recent financial struggles and them coming and posting that video of that morning worship where they're just flat out begging for money, like that's how you can become a friend of God, is to give us money. I wonder if that's as a result of them realizing just how expensive it is to build their branch offices, which they've never had to really see that full cost before. And now that they have, they're like, boy, howdy, we really made a mistake with that one. We need some cash flow right now. I don't know, just kind of curious if there's anyone in Italy or that knows a little bit more about the construction work that could enlighten me. Please let me know down in the comments below. Anyway, let's keep it going. Thank you, Zizi. He's helping magnificently.
In addition to these new branch facilities, we also have many other needs to fill. For example, in order to train brothers and sisters to carry out the preaching and teaching work, there continues to be a need for Theocratic School facilities. In Madagascar, the branch hosted classes at Bethel because they didn't have any other suitable facilities. Well, in June 2021, they finished construction of a new school facility and will now be able to schedule up to 4 classes there each year. Currently, there are over 40 existing school facilities, and we have around 20 active school facility projects at various stages of development. What about facilities to support the growing media production of the organization? We're happy to report that we have finished the studio projects at the South Africa and Australasia branches. In Australasia, that includes the backlot that is used for the Good News According to Jesus video series. Soon, if Jehovah wills, we will begin construction on the new site in Ramapo, New York. We look forward to seeing how Jehovah uses this facility to care for the needs of his people. It is clear that neither the pandemic nor ongoing turmoil in this world has been able to stop theocratic building projects. And as world conditions continue to deteriorate, we are confident that the words of Isaiah 44:5 will be true for us. Yes, Jehovah will help us overcome any mountain-like obstacles that we face.
I'm curious why they're saying it's necessary to build these theocratic schools. There's already 40 of them scattered around the world, and oh my goodness, it was a real tragedy in, what was that, Madagascar, where they had to have the school in Bethel. So, no, what a horrible thing. That sounds terrible. We can't have it at Bethel. We need to have a separate building for that. I just wonder why. You're not getting that amount of influx of people coming into the organization. The preaching work isn't actually bringing people into the organization. It's the continuing of indoctrinating children that helps keep the numbers healthy and stable. So I don't understand what is with the expanding. Is it just something they have to do? Because it gives the illusion that their organization is continuing to grow. And it's, wow, look at all of these new. And every time you hear new, you think, oh, wow, the organization is growing and moving forward. Where they should be just trying to plug all of their leaking holes because people are leaving and not joining. So I don't know. I think the real thing is the media production centers. Those are the real whoppers because I think those are very easy to sell, and that does help to further indoctrinate people. And that's where they should be spending most of their time and energy if they want to people to continue to be Jehovah's Witnesses. But then on the other hand, I'm positive that there's going to be current believing Jehovah's Witnesses that are watching the annual meeting and thinking to themselves, my God, you guys are building a lot of stuff while at the same time telling us that we're right at the very end. With the only justification being, hey, we can still use these facilities and they'll be protected with the special shields from the Gungans during Armageddon. I find the whole thing to just be very bizarre, and I think that it would be confusing for believing Jehovah's Witnesses because they're going to have mixed feelings about it.
Jehovah's hand is never short. Well, the next part is a video entitled Patterson Visitor Center Update. Try saying that fast 3 times. That was a mouthful. Patterson Visitor Center Update. But this is about more than just a visitor center where people can come to wait their turn to tour Bethel. You're going to see that there are some surprises waiting for us in this visitor center. Let's watch.
And boy howdy, do we like surprises.
Following all the local guidelines, the branch found a way to bring skilled brothers and sisters into the Bethel bubble safely so they could work on the project. Jehovah caused many volunteers to offer themselves willingly to help.
Pretty much more of the usual stuff. Most of this video is pretty uninteresting, to be honest. So yeah, cutting most of it out. But I did find this one little comment a little bit off, in that Jehovah caused all of these willing volunteers. Although you asked for volunteers, you ask for people that have skill, and then people reply to the question that was asked of them. Like, if they didn't ever ask, they didn't tell anyone what the project was, and you just had all of these random people that just showed up at a very particular day with all of these various different skills and made a building without any planning or anything, that would be different. That would be like, okay, now you can say, yeah, Jehovah did cause them. We didn't even plan this. But when it's something that you've planned and asked for, yeah.
But some may wonder, at a time when guests are not allowed on Bethel property, why is this visitor center so important to Jehovah? The physical buildings at Bethel are attractive, but what's more valuable to Jehovah is what happens inside. It's the spiritual gift that he has in store for all who come to visit that is so important. The Patterson Visitors Center is designed to be an immersive theocratic experience for everyone.
Skip forward 4 minutes if you don't want to hear a classic Wally rant. So a caffeine-fueled, red-faced harangue is incoming. This goes back to something that I was saying earlier about how they portray God. Why is this so important to Jehovah? Well, it's important to Jehovah because people will feel spiritually uplifted when they come to visit. So let's do the thought experiment here, and picture you are a Jehovah's Witness, and you are barely scraping by, living paycheck to paycheck, and maybe even donating $20, $30 or something a month to Watchtower, even though you can barely get by yourself. A lot of people, that would be their circumstances. And you hear this guy talking about them building a new visitor center, and you haven't gone on a vacation in like a decade, just because you haven't had, the finances to be able to do that. So for the last decade, you haven't been on any vacation or anything. And he's telling you about what Jehovah wants. What Jehovah wants is for people to enjoy the visitor center, a visitor center that you don't have access to. It's not for, he says, for all to enjoy. There are going to be maybe a majority of Jehovah's Witnesses listening to this where they say, well, I can't afford to go to Patterson and take the tour. So is it really available for all to enjoy? Or is it available for all who have enough money to enjoy? Right? And what does that say about their God? Oh, sorry, God only wants people with enough money to be able to travel to New York by themselves or with their family to go and check out this visitor center at Patterson, New York. A visitor center that no doubt is going to have some way of donating money in order to, are stationed around there. I don't know if they still do that, but yeah, hey, you're welcome for the tour. There's also a donation box sitting right there. I just find it kind of grimy that he's saying this, especially because most witnesses won't have any way to get there. They're not going to be able to enjoy this thing. And so they are wondering. So he's like, you might be wondering, why put so much emphasis on this? Yeah, if you're someone that's struggling to provide food for your family, and you have this organization with billions of dollars that does nothing to help you, has no charity or relief work available to you to help you have food, who you're giving money to, who they've taken your kingdom hall away, and now you have to drive for an hour in order to go to your weekly meetings. All of this is happening, and they're saying, well, look at all of the great blessings that Jehovah's giving us. A visitor center that will only be available to people that can afford a trip to New York. If you're a Jehovah's Witness and you're watching this, just ask yourself, is that right? Is that really what God wants? Because they're straight up speaking for Jehovah here. They're telling their audience, this makes Jehovah happy. This is important to Jehovah. So they have put themselves, again, above God, telling you what God thinks and what's important to him. And what's important is something that's completely unaccessible to you. Really think about that. And rant complete.
The Patterson Visitor Center will feature 3 museums and a coin display. Our feature museum will be a first-century Bible village. The objective is to educate visitors about what life was like in the first century, and thereby bring Bible accounts to life. You will get a sense of what things were like when Jesus walked the earth. Since the Israelites lived off the land, the experience begins with an overview of the annual crop cycles that form the core of so much of their daily activities. Key agricultural tasks such as threshing, winnowing, and grinding grain will be illustrated with interactive displays. We know you will find the exhibit components like the functioning olive press and wine press very interesting and informative.
I'm sorry, but I couldn't help but leave this long clip in there. What is with this tree? That was the longest, most boring, uninteresting description of anything I've ever heard. And it all focuses around this tree. I mean, that tree got more screen time than Will Smith did in I Am Legend. Like, what the heck? Oh my God. But man, if this is your promotional material, making people want to come and visit, I just watched a documentary about Action Park, and things were all crazy and kooky and wild. And now I just realized that you can't see me anymore and it's a complete black screen. And that's because my camera battery died. And you're only hearing my voice, so I'll just edit in something from Action Park and then I'll appear on your screen right now. But imagine this being your promo piece to really build the excitement. Let's show them a 30-second clip of a tree by some forests and an old olive and wine press. Give them a real humdinger, and they will be, imagine the children clamoring, I want to use the olive press, I want to use the olive press. Like, this is terrible. They should have called me. I could have made something pretty funny and interesting that would have been way more engaging than this crap.
The next stop will be a typical first century market. Here you will see some of the food and goods that would have been available depending on the season of the year. We next invite you into the residence and workshop spaces of a typical first century Israelite family. The manger, carpentry shop, weaving, and fabric dyeing displays will illustrate a number of Israelite activities. The residence courtyard area will show other regular home tasks like grain grinding and basket making. We next invite you into a typical Israelite home and out onto a rooftop overlooking the rest of the village. Before you leave the residences, you will also see an upper room that would have been in some of the Israelite homes. The next area of the first century Bible village that you can explore is the synagogue, which was the center of worship and study in the Jewish community. Next, a functioning pottery wheel and kiln will illustrate how pottery was made. The last stop will take you to a lakeside where you will be able to board a first century fishing boat similar to the one that Jesus and his disciples used. Here you can learn what was involved in commercial fishing.
Well, as far as announcements go, man, David Splain, he warned us that there was going to be some huge surprises, and my goodness, were there some real whoppers that they introduced. So very exciting stuff. I'm excited to go and visit the new center myself. So maybe one day we'll have to have a vlog of me touring the Patterson facility, but that actually sounds like it would be really boring, so I'll probably never do that ever.
This and so much more is waiting for you at the new Patterson Visitor Center. We can't wait for you to come and see the beautiful spiritual gift that is waiting for you.
The new Visitors Centre and Museum are on course to be completed in the fall of 2023. When will guests be able to come back to Bethel and tour the new facility? We are going to have to wait and see. But one thing is for sure, when the doors finally do open, anyone who makes the effort to come will receive a spiritual gift from Jehovah.
So 2 weeks ago, they come out and say, hey, you can become a friend of Jehovah by offering money. Now they're saying if you want to get a spiritual gift from Jehovah, you have to spend the money to go to Patterson, New York, and take time off of work or whatever other responsibilities and go and tour this, and then you'll get a spiritual gift. They're literally saying, like, hiding spiritual gifts behind a paywall now. They're like, hey, if you want to get this extra super turbo special, and be part of the elite gold platinum club, then you need to get your butt over to New York, which for many Jehovah's Witnesses is just not realistic. It's not something that they're going to be able to do. And I just find that really sad and greedy, I guess, by Watchtower. Maybe this is a new direction that they're taking, where they're going to be focusing even more on money and finances and things like that, and not be so worried about people getting higher education and getting good paying jobs. I don't know where they're going with this, but My goodness. I just know if I was a Jehovah's Witness and I saw that and I couldn't and I wasn't able to go to Bethel, I'd be like, oh, well, I guess Jehovah only has a spiritual gift for people that are wealthy enough to be able to go there. Sucks to be me. So, I don't know. Weird.
The touring experience will prove to be a spiritual encouragement to the worldwide brotherhood and promote pure worship to Jehovah's praise and honor in a very unique way. It will certainly be a must-see.
Well, we've seen the blessings on this project and really all the people working hard on it. The facility is going to benefit thousands of future visitors. It's because all of us, either now or in the new world, need to be taught about the life and ministry of Jesus. For this reason, we're convinced of Jehovah's blessing on the project and his desire to have this facility built.
Yes, the ultimate get-out-of-jail-free card. Well, in the new system, everyone will be able to enjoy this. Oh, I get it. So now if I'm someone in, Guatemala, I don't have to worry about going and visiting the new center now. I'll just have to wait till after Armageddon. Well, no problem. I can keep donating my money so other people that can afford it can enjoy this. And yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. You can't just always use, hey, after Armageddon, you'll be wanting to go visit the new visitor center. Huh? You mean you just witnessed billions of people die, and you've actually seen evidence for the thing you believe in, and at the top of your list is going to visit Patterson, New York to go and work an old olive press? That is going to strengthen your faith? Your faith is already solidified. It doesn't need any strengthening at that point because you have evidence. And I'm 100% certain after witnessing God and Jesus and the 144,000 come out of the sky throwing fireballs, people just getting evaporated left and right, looking like a scene out of the Clone Wars. After witnessing all of that, people are going to get a spiritual gift by seeing how an ancient olive press worked. I don't think so. And that will bring an end to one more edition of the annual meeting review. Thank you so much for joining me on this wild adventure, and I will see you probably not tomorrow, but maybe the day next. I don't really know. We'll see what my energy level looks like, but I'll see you next time. And if you're here, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. Yeah, Winston's here now, so you can also say hi to Winston. Okay, see ya.